Hey, this is Rick Bone with Underwater Explorer. We've got some great adventures today. We're going to go to South Florida and dive the Palm Beach area and also dive Pompano near Fort Lauderdale. See some mighty big fish and rays. So stay tuned. Two of my favorite dives are the Palm Beach area and Pompano. And this little guy's just trying to walk off into the sunset. Very unusual to see. Of course, that's a conch shell. And right now we're right off Palm Beach in about 50 feet of water. And these fish schools are the various reef fish we have. And we're just coming to an old shipwreck. Great grouper for dinner. This is in Pompano. And the fellow on the right is Doug Sailors, and he is inventor of the Baby Be Bright, which you'll be hearing a lot, be a household name here in a couple of years. Again, this is right off Palm Beach in about 50 feet of water. Beautiful queen angelfish. The visibility varies off the east coast of Florida. Usually off Palm Beach it's anywhere from 60 to 80 feet. I think today it was around 50 feet. This is a very shallow reef in that it doesn't come off the sand bottom that much. This one was about 3 to 4 feet off the bottom. That's a French angelfish and of course a barracuda. Under these ledges you'll see a lot of scenery. Beautiful coloring. This is our lead guy. He's the guy with the line that connects to the float to the surface that the boat follows. And you never want to get too far away from him. This is a wreck system composed of 4 wrecks called the Corridor. And this is deep in the belly of one of those wrecks. All the windows have been knocked out, all the oil has been drained off, and all the doors have been opened. So it's pretty hard to get lost in one of these things. And there's always sunlight to the surface, very safe wreck diving. There are actually 4 wrecks in a row that you can dive on one dive. See the stingray buried into the sand, and that tail is definitely something you don't want to touch. This is the second wreck, and this is in about 90 feet of water. The superstructure's been blown away by hurricanes. This is the bow of one of those wrecks, and these are the ribs inside. The current is a pretty good clip going from wreck to wreck. It's kind of like a fast walk. And there was a small turtle inside the wreck. Turtles and giant groupers like to make their home down in the wreck because they can easily get away from divers or anybody trying to get to them. This is Pompano in the Fort Lauderdale area of Florida. And these high-rises have been there for years. This is one of the most popular dive hotels. And we're just going right up the intercoastal.
Well, we're in Pompano Beach right now. We're A1A is right here, and the ocean is just on the other side of A1A. We're in the intercoastal. And we just passed Joe's, a popular eating place, and Houston's. We're coming up on 14th Causeway right here. This is Atlantic Boulevard right behind me. And this is a real popular inlet down there. It's where the lighthouse is.
This is Jamie lying on the foredeck. Never likes to be photographed, but we get her anyway. This is going up the intercoastal, and a lot of the fine houses and boats can be seen along here. Now we're getting ready to go out in the ocean through the cut, and this condo is being developed. That's the lighthouse. This is one of the most impressive boats on the water in the Pompano Beach area. And this is Buddy Cafferty of Pompano. He had a 32-foot boat, but it wasn't big enough, so he went and got a 48-foot, and I think this is going to satisfy him from now on. These boats have to constantly be maintained. And that again is Jamie. Hey, this is Rick Bone with Underwater Explorer. I want to recommend a book to you. It's called The Purpose-Driven Life, and it's by Rick Warren. And it's so far sold over 30 million copies. And I watched him on an interview the other night, and he's been interviewed, and the guy says, well, have you ever been criticized? He said, well, yeah, anybody in business or life is criticized. He said, well, how do you think you can avoid criticism? And he said, there are three ways. You be nothing, you do nothing, and you say nothing, and you'll never be criticized. Great book, you need to get it. We're back on the wrecks, and this time we're in about 70 feet of water. And the visibility has improved. This is some 2 days later than the last dive we made, and the currents have had time to wash the sand and sediment away. All the dive boats, of course, know exactly where these wrecks are. Used to be you had to have buoys to mark each wreck, and of course the buoys, they'd be gone about the second day through wind, or somebody would set them free. This is an area right off Palm Beach called the Playpens. And a wreck borders this side as well. This is a nurse shark, and he's camped out under the wreck. He was about 7 feet long. This is looking at the coral growth, and of course a stingray under the wreck. He's out of the sand, so you can definitely see him. We're on our way up to another wreck, and this is what's known as the corridor. There are 4 wrecks along this area. Nice sized crab. This is our dive leader, and he snatches onto the boat so everybody can spend about 10 minutes there before he goes to the next site. The current has calmed down considerably, and there are just thousands of reef fish on this wreck site. Beautiful soft corals. This is the bigger 48-foot boat that Buddy Cafferty had to get. Renowned marine lawyer Tom Kerr. Maritime attorney from Knoxville and Pompano. These girls are from the University of Tennessee, out on a little vacation. Going down the intercoastal in the Pompano-Fort Lauderdale area. This is Doug Saylor's inventor of the Baby Be Bright product, which you'll be hearing about. We stopped at one of the restaurants along the intercoastal, which are plentiful. And renowned maritime attorney on your left, Tom Kerr, proving that once again you can have fun at any age. Andrew Cafferty on the right. This is the Sailfish Marina in Singer Island, Florida, which is about 100 yards north of Palm Beach. Beautiful area. great motel for divers and fishermen. It's right on the Intercoastal and boasts the finest restaurant in the area, Captain Morgan. This is the taxi that you can use to get to the other side and to the mainland. And this is the view of the restaurant. And the Sailfish Marina is kind of a focal point for fishermen in the area. Nice pool. And you know where you are by the sailfish at the bottom of the pool. The whole place, of course, has a sailfish motif. This is Rick Bone with Underwater Explorer. I'm with John Paschal, who owned the very first health spa in Knoxville, Tennessee for over 20 years. Made tons of money, and we'd like to get his opinion on business. John, what would you say your key to business success has been over the years?
Well, I had a manager by the name of Lowell Parton, and he's the only guy I know that could take, you give him a nickel and he'd owe $9,000 a week. So I guess anybody's got that ability. He's a survivor, I guess.
John, what were some of the celebrities that used to come down to the Cosmopolitan Health Spa?
Oh gosh, Rick, we had Sam Steamboat. We had a lot of wrestlers. Sam Steamboat, Hulk Hogan, which was then Sterling Golding, Mighty Atlas, just on and on and on. We had the Mongolian Stomper, which I think he's still in Knoxville. And we had like hockey players. We had a great hockey player named Don LaBelle, and it goes on and on. We had Ed Bailey, a baseball player, which just demised. We had a lot of great guys come. We had a great club, and people, doctors, lawyers, just all kinds of people. Just a great club.
And do you remember how many people or members you had over the years?
We counted up one time. I think it was something over 150,000 over the 32 years. So we had a lot of members.
Any advice for young people growing up in the bodybuilding health spa scene?
Yeah, I think be serious. The main thing is be serious. Stay off of this so-called steroids and things like that. I've always been against all that sort of thing and not an advocate for it. And the main thing is just to work hard, eat right, rest, exercise, and diet. One without the other is no good. You got to have all three: rest, exercise, and diet. Little word red.
What was a poem that you're famous for doing over the years?
Well, I had one about the Southern love poem, and it goes like, "Pretty Susan fell in love. She planned to marry Joe. Susie was so happy that she told her pappy so. Pappy said, 'Susie, gal, you'll have to find another. I wouldn't want your ma to know, but Joe is your half-brother.' So Susie forgot Joe boy and planned to marry Will. But after telling Pappy this, he said, 'There's trouble still. You can't marry Will, my gal, but please don't tell your mother. Will and Joe and several more I know is your half-brother.' But Mama knew and said, 'My dear, just do what makes you happy. Marry Will or marry Joe. You ain't no kin to Pappy.'"
You know what I remember about the old John Paschal Health Club days is you'd have a doctor, a lawyer, you'd have a laborer, you'd have a candlestick maker. Whatever you did was just totally irrelevant. The lifting of the weights and the camaraderie was just tremendous. Great club. John, any more thoughts on success in a business career?
Well, I can tell you one thing. I can tell you what not to do or who not to hire. Everybody's somebody, anybody, nobody. Work for a company. The important job needed to be done. Everybody sure that somebody could do it. Anybody could have done it. Nobody did. Somebody got angry about that because everybody's job and everybody knew it. Anybody could do it. Somebody would do it, but nobody realized everybody thought somebody would do it. Ended up, everybody blamed somebody when nobody did what anybody could have done. Don't hire those guys.
Really?
Another thing, too, I've always thought when your work ceases to be play, change jobs. And in conclusion, when your outgo exceeds your income, your upkeep is bound to be your downfall.
John, you remember some kind of uppity people coming in the health spa on occasion and you had a reply for them?
Oh, I've had several of that. I had, people remember Glenn Turner. He came in there and had on the chains and a fancy bow tie, looked like sideboard to haul one pumpkin. And I said, what do you do for a living? And he said, "I'm really cleaning up." I said, "Oh, you're a custodian. I didn't know you're a janitor. You're pretty well dressed for a janitor." And he kind of got irritated, but Another thing, Bob Crenshaw came in one time, and I was going over about a routine, and he said, I don't want to look like Arnold Schwarzenegger. I said, I don't think you got a worry in the world. I've had a lot of things happen in the club that just, there could be a book written on it, really, Rick. A lot of fun. And
Wasn't there a gentleman that came in one time and requested where the swimming pool was?
oh yeah, we didn't have a swimming pool. It was a small health club in Western Plaza. And he said, oh, where I am up in so-and-so up north, and he was a Yankee, and he said, we have a swimming pool. I said, well, we'll use Fort Loudon Lake. We swim down and back, and it's 16 miles each way, 32-mile trips, pretty good exercise. So if you like, I can show you how to get to the Fort Loudon Lake. But all kinds of people come and go, so. I started out with 2 concrete blocks on the end of a bar in Korea.
John Paschal started what was arguably the first health and fitness chain in the area in the 1950s, drawing pro wrestlers and athletes alike. Now, 75, John still has the legs, just not as much brawn.
I think this was a Letterman club.
One of his longtime acquaintances was former UT basketball coach Ray Mears. You'll never believe what the coach asked John to do at halftime of a game in 1967.
He called me up and said, John, since you're kind of a muscle guy and everything, he said, look good if you'd wrestle this bear. So he asked me if I'd wrestle the bear. I said, well, in a New York second for you. And so they put us on TV the next day and up on the TV, and they were giving him candy bars and a beer to drink. And Roger Peltz was supposed to be my partner in wrestling, and he didn't show up, and they accused him of being a coward because he's 6'5" and I'm 5'6".
No picture or film clip exists of that day, but this is what John faced.
Notice it takes 2 referees to control that bear.
This video was found on YouTube. Victor the Bear, as he was called, roamed the country with his trainer, wrestling wrestlers. He even made an appearance on the Ed Sullivan Show.
What people don't know, when I was walking out across the gym after the game was over, somebody came by, some girl, and slapped me upside the face. I saw stars. And nobody, I guess people didn't know about that, but I saw stars for a while because she thought we were really, really mistreating that lovely animal.
A man who loved Coach Ray Mears so much he would do just about anything for him.
He's a wonderful, wonderful man.
Including wrestling a 600-pound bear.
I will never, ever forget the Continental Health Studio or John Paschal. My greatest memory, I was 22 years old in 1972, and I needed to start a company. And I had to have some money. I didn't have any money, and so I raised about 3/4 of what I needed to get it off on the ground floor. And I didn't know where I was going to get the last $5,000. And I called up John Paschal, and I said, John, I need an investor in this company that I'm starting. Will you help me out? He said, Rick, I'll give you every penny I've got. Come on down. I went, oh man, I've got this thing started. I went down there and I said, John, where's the check? What am I going to do? He said, it's in the office on the desk. I went, all right. I went in that office and there was a pile of pennies. Must have been 500 pennies piled on top of this desk. I went, oh my gosh, walked out of there. That was the end of that. Very great lesson. But all in all, the camaraderie of that place was just incredible. Great health club.
I'd like to take this opportunity to thank John for all the good friendship through the years and tell you a little bit about John. There have been so many stories told about John, and I've witnessed a couple, but one especially, one Saturday morning, John comes in the shop. The shop's really filled with customers, and he walks in and he's speaking to everyone. I've got a person in my chair named Eden, and been a long-time customer as well, and John walks in, he's speaking to everybody as he goes up and down the shop, hangs his coat up, and he comes on up, and Eden says, there's John Paschal, the man who runs the massage parlor across the street. And I thought to myself, you know, that's not the right thing to say. But anyway, with that said, John walks on up, and I've got the chair positioned about so, and I got the cloth over him, and John walks up, and Eden extends his hand to shake John's hand, and John does likewise, only instead of shaking Eden's hand, he picks up the hair cloth and gets him in a karate hold in a special place, and he begins to kind of get his attention. And with that, you've heard of people being levitated. Well, I honestly believe I saw the man levitated in this chair right here. I saw the man actually come up, and he was hollering, John, 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 John. And I'm thinking to myself, you're gonna kill him, John, if you don't turn him loose. And finally, he did turn him loose, and he just about passed out. But that was one of the funniest things I've ever seen happen. John, I wish you many good years of good health and happiness from a good old friend, Ralph.
This is a fairly large turtle, and this time we're in about 60 feet of water off Palm Beach, and it's a little bit murky. The visibility is down to about 30, 35 feet. It's a beautiful soft sea fan coral. And when the visibility gets a little bad, you simply focus on the close-ups. Little puffer fish right in the middle of your lower screen. Basket coral. And that's a French angelfish. Another little puffer fish. Hey, this is Rick Bone with Underwater Explorer. We're going to be talking with local artist Linda Evans, who loves the water, and water figures quite prominently in her work. She's also distributed nationally. Linda, how did you get started in the art world?
I think I was born with it. I think I just came in with it. I would draw. In fact, I would draw horses. Interesting enough, now that I have been drawing and painting and photographing horses for the last couple of years, and it's just completely taken over what I do with my art. That's all I wanted to do as a child, was draw horses.
Linda, you've done a lot of work involving water. How does that get into your life, so to speak?
To me, water is, well, I can most easily say it by looking at dreams and the imagery, the symbolism that comes from our dreams, the information that comes from our dreams. Water is a great symbol that we get in a lot of our dream imagery. In fact, I bet you dream about water a lot. Of course, you're on the water all the time. But water symbolically relates to the deep subconscious. If you're in very shallow water, it can be more the linear thinking mind. If you're in very deep water, you're going into the deep subconscious thinking and memories. It also relates to what is called an archetypal collective mind. The collective mind is all of the experiences, knowledge, wisdom throughout the ages that Carl Jung, used to call and describe the collective mind, which can be resourced through the deep subconscious mind.
Linda, tell us about the work that we're looking at the background.
This is called Message of Water. It's Chiron. Chiron is the symbol of the wounded healer. And the massive white horse that you see repeatedly throughout my work is a symbolic symbol, an archetypal symbol of a new consciousness crashing into reality. The message of water, water carries all kinds of messages for us today. Through all of the tumult that we've seen around us, there are environmental messages that are going on, and this specific piece is referring to the healing that needs to happen and the message that water is bringing us.
Linda, I've noticed that you work quite a bit with a human figure and also a lot with the horse motif. How did that generalize and come into being?
Well, the human figure was what I actually started with, and about 10 years ago, when I started painting again after not painting for about 20 years, I started painting figures. And I had to actually go into classical figure study in order to do it and to develop it to the level that I finally did develop. One of my collectors, who is in Washington, D.C., wanted a horse. She wanted a horse. She loved my painting. She wanted a horse. And so she commissioned me to do a horse. And as I began to study the horse and paint the horse and get into the horse and be around horses, my passion just fired up with it. It took over. It just absolutely took over. And now it's about all that I care to do.
Linda, is there a way to contact you for further information about your work?
Yes. Contact me at lindaevans@comcast.net, and that's LYNDAEVANS.
There's no bond as special as that between a mother and her baby. And now you can strengthen that bonding experience before your baby is born. Introducing Baby Be Bright, the award-winning prenatal learning system that lets you speak to, be heard by, and connect with your baby. Research shows cognitive development begins in the womb, and Baby Be Bright gives you everything you'll need to get started. A state-of-the-art CD player with fetal speakers, headphones for you, 5 educational CDs to enhance your baby's development, and an adjustable maternity belt designed to situate right at your baby's ear. Remember, the sooner you order, the sooner you'll be able to talk directly to your little one by using your Baby Be Bright fetal microphone. Studies show babies arrive feeling safer and calmer, knowing your voice, Dad's voice, even the voice of grandparents. So start teaching and bonding with your baby right away with Baby Be Bright.
To order the Baby Be Bright system for only 4 easy payments of $19.95 plus $6 shipping and handling, call the number on your screen or log on below. Order now.
These basket corals come in all shapes and sizes. Now we're looking under the reef in little nooks and crannies, and this is where most of the fish school, especially when the visibility is not as good. And that's a queen angelfish. These fish schools are constantly moving. They go against the current and then they go with the current, depending on where the food source is. Now we're coming back from our dive. And getting back of the boat is simply waiting for the boat. You never swim to the boat. They come right to you. You hand your fins off to the dive instructor and get back in and change tanks if it's only your first dive. You do 2 dives a day, either 2 in the morning or 2 in the afternoon. And this is coming back in the intercoastal. And again, this is Singer Island. This is the top side of the dive boat. This is the home of Buddy Cafferty. He's formerly of Knoxville, Tennessee. That's the speaking part. And this is Buddy's house. Buddy is in Pompano, right on the beach. His wonder dog, Skipper, and a nice little pool out back. Oh my gosh, it's Arnold Schwarzenegger. Just got on his exercise machine, $16,000 exercise machine. Told me in 6 months he'd look like Schwarzenegger. Showing the fruits of success. These are some pictures of Buddy's new 48-foot boat docked. And on your left is Doug Sailors, inventor of Baby Be Bright. Doug will be a household name in just a few years.